What's up, guys? It's your favorite historian here, and I'm about to talk about something that might blow your mind. Maybe you know, maybe you didn't know. I don't know. It's gonna be weird though, because I'm gonna chop it up in little bits and then, throw it at you, so you kind of absorb it a little better instead of dragging this on into one long presentation. Because the last thing I want to do is bore the heck out of you. All right. If you thought Mongolian Christians were weird, Nestorian Christians, that is, well, what do you think about Third Rome? That's right. You're probably like, what? What? There's three Romes. I thought there was only one. You look on a map right now, you only can see one Rome. Where the heck's the second Rome? And now there's a third one. You're telling me? I'll explain. Right. So in and around the 400s A.D. That is, the Western Roman Empire. That's the Rome you guys know, or everyone else for that matter. Italy, that fell. A bunch of barbarians took it. They probably didn't look like barbarians at the time. And we always get the misconception that these guys were like hairy beasts, but they're not. Probably like a Germanic tribe or something, Frankish, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that falls. There's no more Italians running the show. Boom. Let's move it down the path. Rome number two. Rome number two isn't called Rome number two. That'd be kind of weird on a map seeing a Rome and a number two sign. Instead, it's called Constantinople. Now, how the heck did it get that name? It was this little chunk of land that separates, the west and east of Europe. It's Turkey now, Istanbul. You can find that on the map. But why was it called Constantinople, land of the Byzantines? Well, it was called Byzantium way back in ancient times. It's a Greek little city. But Constantine the Great, he's the Roman emperor that wanted to make Christianity great again. And he did it. But he didn't settle in Rome. No, he moved his people all the way to this little, spot of land called Constantinople. He called it Constantinople. It was called Byzantium, but he called it, after himself. It was Constantine, Constantinopolis. You see the connections there? Great. Okay, cool. So you got that part, right? Now, since he named it that, and since there was Roman emperors seated in that little plot of land that expanded over time, you had two Roman empires. That's right. They were split. You had the West and Italy and the East and Byzantium. So, what the heck happened? What happened to the East Roman Empire? So the East kept flourishing. It did so for like 1,000 years or so, and until 1453. Then Turks got it. They kicked ass and took names, pretty much. Literally, they took names. They called themselves Caesars in the Turkish language. I don't know what that is, but anyway, so they felt like, oh well, we conquered Constantinople. We kind of inherited, the Roman name now. It's not the case. Well, anyway, definitely not to the Christian world. So what happens now? Third Rome. Where the heck is Third Rome? Russia? The capital? Moscow? That's it. There was a theory or a concept of Third Rome was being the capital of Russia, Moscow, Muscovy, as they used to call it. I'll explain. So, before the fall of Constantinople, the family, as the doom and gloom was getting closer of the fall, a bunch of the emperor's immediate family, who owned little plots of land in and around the area, pretty much, which is now ancient Turkey, Anatolia. Well, they were like, hey, listen, we're all going to die if we stick around. So they took off. And they went to the closest place they thought could probably take them in, Italy. So while they settled there, they had to do the whole Catholic thing because they weren't Catholic, they were Orthodox, whatever. I'm not going to confuse you guys with that. So anyway, you got a niece, right? Her name's Zoe. She changed her name to Sophia Papalogia. She was the niece of the last Byzantine emperor. So the Pope was like, how can I influence my Catholic powers in the Eastern lands, the ones that are still Christian, kind of? Because you got to think about it now. The East, these are the Slavs I'm talking about, and the Russians, or the Rus people, whatever you want to call them. or like a different form of Christianity. So Pope wanted everybody in his club. So he thought as well, if I marry someone to this, Russian king, I'll have him convert. Didn't quite go his way. Now let me back it up even more. Let me explain to you who the heck the Russian people are. They're not people with funny hats and wool clothes, to tell you that. So they have a kind of a history too, a cool history that connects them with the second Rome, that's Constantinople. So, main thing here, the religion. This is how this whole theory started, okay? It was pretty Eastern in flavor. Their, Orthodox Christianity was just screaming different rituals from what you see in a Catholic church or a Protestant church, whatever. So yeah, before there was Russians, there was the Rus people. Now Rus, as a cunning attempt to trick you, Rus. It's R-U-S. So, think of them like half Vikings, half Slavic people. Slavs being like, Ukrainians, some Czech people, I guess Romanians too, even though they're kind of Latin. That's a whole other story. I won't get into that. Anyway, Slavic people. Put it that way. So, yeah, these Vikings from the north, Varangians, Vanguard, whatever, Varangian guards, which was another term for Viking, actually. So these Vikings from the north, right, who actually were bodyguards, believe it or not, for the Byzantine. So, you see what's happening here? But yeah, that's another story. But definitely cool. You should definitely look up the Varangians if you get a chance, if you like Viking history. So these Eastern, Northern Vikings, right, settle in these lands that are today Russia and, the likewise. Start intermarrying with a bunch of Slav people, and they kind of like develop into the Rus, okay? Still pagan at this time, worshiping statues and whatnot. The Byzantines see opportunity here. They're opportunist people. It lasted a while. And they're like, how can we influence these people? Let's marry them. But this time it works. They must have had like really attractive women that kind of like drew these, big old, half Russian, half Viking dudes. But it came with a cost. They're like, okay, well, we'll marry, these, with these Greek brides for you, but you have to convert to our Christianity. And they thought about it, and they accepted. Not everyone accepted right away, of course, and not everyone, went to church the same day. This was like a gradual move. There's even artifacts that the Byzantines gave the early, Rus people as like, like parting. It was like, here, we like you. Convert to our religion. What's cool about it, though, instead of it being like, tossed out to sea or melted down, it's still like in museums today, which is kind of cool. So, there's always that. But yeah, the Rus. So they eventually, kind of like adopted their Eastern Christian ways of the Byzantines. And, I guess they felt kind of like, hey, we're influenced now. We're part of the club. So down the road, when, Byzantium and, Constantinople finally collapse, that niece I told you, the niece of the last Byzantine emperor, she gets a free ticket to, Moscow, Muscovy or whatever, the big Rus kingdom, and she gets married to the king or to the prince. Forgot his title. But yeah, something really crazy happens. So after a lot of hearsay, he eventually settles down. Prince Ivan III marries Zoe / Sophia Papalogia. She changed her name from Zoe to Sophia. I guess got like reintroduced to Orthodox Christianity, and actually wound up being quite influential to the Russian court at this time. Not saying they were backwards, but she brought a lot of people with her. A lot of Italian architects. There was already probably Greek refugees that knew a thing or two coming from Constantinople when it fell, settling in the lands. So you had, I don't want to say a melting pot of people, but influential people that influenced not just the prince, but gave like a boost and their like art form. She wasn't a Renaissance woman, but Sophia definitely she left her mark, I think. And from that, so now that these two are married, you had this Byzantine princess, I guess, married this prince, this Rus prince, and there you go, boom, marriage produces offspring. And in their minds, they were like, well, not just by blood, but by religion, they have this connection now. The Rus kingdom has connection with the Byzantines. Even before, like I said, there was a lot of intermarrying going on. So yeah, there's that. So, in a sense, you could definitely see that. Like I said, there's two connections going on at this point. You didn't just have relatives marrying within the Russian world. You had the religion that the Russians inherited from the Byzantines, which is like like a big deal to them now. So like they don't even like regular crosses. Like their crosses are like extra. So they had to make that point. It's just how it goes. And I find it really interesting. I mean, I don't know if many people know that. I think that's kind of cool. So, in a sense, when the second Rome fell, the supposed third Rome just kind of kept flourishing, and well, it's still there today. There's two Romes. Actually, there's only one Rome. There's in Italy, but that sense of empire and pristine, I guess, inheritance, kingship, all that fancy stuff. The Rus kingdom felt like it was their legacy now, and they modeled themselves after that for a couple of years. Actually, Ivan the Terrible was a product of this intermarrying. Believe it or not, which I find pretty interesting. It's kind of cool if you think about it. So Ivan's a whole other story, but he's kind of intermixed there. Just famous characters I figure I shot out there. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of the broken down, scaled back version of the concept of Third Rome. Now, I guess people really don't care. It's kind of like old news now. And Russia will always be Russia, Italy will always be Italy. But back then, borders weren't really that important. I mean, they were there, but like I said, medieval, Renaissance-y kind of days, you had a lot of crisscrossing going on. So you can see where things start getting a little fuzzy and who's who, which flag is which, and anyway, yeah, it's not so much of a confusing topic. You just gotta pick the dates right and examine it to where it all makes sense. See what I did? I kind of made light of it and broke it down to you the best I can. Trying to get all the information at once. I'm actually looking at like references just to so I don't sound like an idiot when I'm talking. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Cool concept. I mean, and to think that the theory and the mindset of the Roman world just got passed down. Because like at this time too, you still had the Holy Roman Empire, which is not even, that was like a mix of like Frankish, German, Gaulish people, in Italy, or parts of it anyway. And yeah, so they were probably they had titles of Rome and Romans, King of Romans, but the people of the East, the Eastern Greeks and the Rus people probably thought of themselves and modeled themselves. Romans too. So who's who? I think it's not just being Roman wasn't just a person from Italy. To be a Roman was, you had to be in the Roman world and a citizen of Rome. Like even back then, I believe it was Caracalla that signed this document letting anyone who was in the Roman world, you could have been from Africa, like under Roman, rule, but you were a citizen of Rome. So, see what I mean? So, what, the third Rome concept was they inherited not just, you know, a bloodline from the Byzantines, but who were considered second Romans, uh, but their religion too. And that's how that happened. Um, but yeah, that's really kind of like I said, lays it down. You know, there's no more fourth Rome, I'll tell you that, unless you count the United States. Just kidding. But the parallels, it's kind of weird. You can see our collapse, especially during crazy times like this. It's scary, and yeah, just wow. It's let's hope we don't go down that path of total collapse. Even the Russian word czar was another name for Caesar. You know, so you kind of see the similarities there. You know, I thought that was kind of interesting to bring up. You know, how they just kind of like inherited that, and they're like, okay, we're gonna call ourselves that now. So you see what I mean? And in case you were wondering, the Greek term for king or emperor was basileus. Sounds like a V, but there's a B. Basileus. Sounds similar. But yeah, there you go, guys. I know the video was kind of choppy. I had to just do some fact checks real quick, so I'm not shot to hell online or criticized, whatever. So there you have it. The theory of Third Rome, or the concept of Third Rome, whatever. Like I said, Moscow didn't name itself Rome at any point. They just thought of themselves as, inheritors of the Roman world via, Constantinople. So yeah, there you have it. I think I said that again. But yeah, in case you ever wanted to know what the heck Third Rome was, or if you thought the Roman Empire just stopped in Rome, Italy, then you'd be wrong, because it continued for a very long time. And there you have it. Said that again. Oh my god. Yeah, that's really all I got to say about that. I hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, guys, I will see you all later. And hopefully a different topic. Alright. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Alright. Peace.